this is bizarre. So let's put bookends on the 93 event and then give us your incredible info and expertise on what's happening in the Middle East, what Barack Obama really stands for, ISIS, all of it. I'm going to give you the floor, sir.
This is one very important point. I would like to explain it to your listeners. Why President Barack Hussein not hitting hard on the terrorists and on ISIS? And I know it sounds crazy, but bear with me. President Barack was born after his older brother, Malik. The father, Mr. Hussein, named his son Malik, and that's one of God's names in Islam. The second son, he named him Barak. What does Barak mean? Barak is the right Prophet Muhammad, and we can see Mr. Malik sitting with Mr. Obama, visiting him in the White House. Mr. Malik is in charge of the Muslim Brotherhood in Africa. There's a lot of finances going on through Mr. Malik, and we can see him in another picture holding the Yemenian dagger on his waist. And he is a big supporter to the Muslim Brotherhood. And that explains that Mr. Barack Hussein is not hitting hard on the Muslim Brotherhood. On the contrary, he took them off the terrorist list. For years and years, the Muslim Brotherhood is on the terrorist list around the world. In the Arab world, who knows them best? But Mr. Barack decided to take them off the terrorist list and start to be sponsoring them and put them in charge of Egypt against the Egyptian population. I am originally Egyptian. I have ears and eyes on the roads of Egypt on a minute by minute. And I know that every Egyptian disliked the decision of putting the Muslim Brotherhood in charge of Egypt. But that's the way Mr. Barack wanted to be. It took 1 year and the entire population ripped the Muslim Brotherhood of the taking over the government in Egypt. And now they are in trial in jail. Guess what? When Mr. Barack slowed down in his support to the Muslim Brotherhood, they threatened him, and I have that front page in Ahram newspaper, Muslim Brotherhood threatening Obama. If he stops supporting them, they will release secret documents to put him in prison. Verbatim words. Our listeners and our media in America, the mainstream media, will not put that, will not like to hear that. They don't want to hear.
And by the way, Colonel, Ahmad Salam, very famous FBI informant, infiltrator of assassin groups, you name it, successfully helping send him to prison, infiltrating the World Trade Center bombing of '93. If you just joined us, I've interviewed Dr. Jerome Corsi. I've interviewed Colonel Schaefer, and I've got a bunch of other sources off record in Congress, in the Senate. Everything he's saying, I heard 2 years ago, before it was even in the Egyptian newspapers, they have Obama's family, not just his brother, but Odinga and others. They're the ones that did the uprisings in Kenya and tried to basically overthrow it. This is incredible. And they're siphoning tens of millions a month up to the Muslim Brotherhood in an attempted takeover. And when I first learned about this, I couldn't believe it, that a U.S. president, bare minimum, is being blackmailed by the Muslim Brotherhood to carry all this out. I mean, it's really happening. I always thought that would be like Islamophobia or something. I just couldn't believe it. It was too big a conspiracy. Now it's admitted. So break down. I mean, so what you're saying is the intel from Egypt, where you were a colonel in intelligence, is that Obama is being blackmailed, or is he a willing accomplice of the radical jihadist?
First, I would like to correct one thing. I'm not a colonel in the intelligence. It's an honor. I wouldn't assume it. I am not in the intelligence.
Well, I just read in the New York Times you were a colonel that worked in intelligence and other operations.
No, I am not an intelligence officer. I have so many friends since I served in the military. They were serving me in a small units, and they went to intelligence, and we have friendly connections.
Sure, so the New York Times got that wrong. What was your role as a colonel in the Egyptian army?
I was in the Arms Ammunition Division, and I was in charge, and I was in the Special Ops, but I was not an intelligence officer.
Good. Okay, good. The New York Times got that wrong years ago. Okay,
clear this point quickly. Mr. Barack Obama's upbringing with a father who believed in fanaticism to the point that he named his first son Malik on God's name and the second son Barak, which is the right of Prophet Muhammad. And then he was growing up in this environment as a Muslim. And when he came to the United States, let us see, he decided to be Christian. I'll go for that. But what kind of church Mr. President went to? Mr. White's a fanatic priest who is condemning America and going against America. Mr. Barak's heart is a Muslim. I have no problem with that because I am a Muslim myself. But don't go to the fanatics, take them off a terrorist list, start supporting them, and then I have to pay the price as an American citizen. We are paying the price for increasing the power of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood, as I said, comes from the roots of, or they are the roots of ISIS. If you go to the ISIS tree, and I can see the ISIS tree, it started from the bottom as Hassan al-Banna, and then after him, it came Ayman al-Zawahiri, and then Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman. And then it came a point when somebody by the name Muhammad Abdul Salam. Muhammad Abdul Salam is the first one who switched the Muslim Brotherhood from being an organization fighting the British occupation during the Nasser era into a violent organization, and they attempted to assassinate Gamal Abdel Nasser. They attempted to assassinate Anwar al-Sadat until the blind sheikh succeeded to do it, and he was elected the Prince of Jihad on the global level. And for a long time, the blind sheikh, after God helped me to put him in jail, he was running his organization through Lynn Stewart, his attorney, by making press releases to give orders to his followers in Egypt.
I want to shift gears back to my statement, though, when I described Jerome Corsi, WorldNet Daily, their investigations, saying basically what you said, getting back to people in Obama's family financing the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, that horrible overthrow, the burning of the churches, the killing of the military, the end of free speech, all the tyranny that expanded in Egypt. Do you agree with my statement that bare minimum Obama is being blackmailed? You said that was in the Egyptian papers?
Yes, he is being blackmailed, but he put himself in that position.
I understand. So he was a willing accomplice and then now is being blackmailed.
Now he's being blackmailed, and that's why he stopped the Apache helicopters to go to Egypt and alienated the United States from the entire Arab world. Egypt is the heart of the Arab world, and Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Dubai, they all surrounding Egypt. And now they are pulling out of the United States, and Mr. Putin jumping in head down and start to send the Egyptian people now eating caviar once a week by Mr. Putin. Why he's doing that? He's taking the opportunity that Mr. Obama is no longer liked by the Egyptian people.
What do you think the grand strategy is to overthrow Egypt? That sounds completely insane, but they tried it. It lasted for 1 year until 20 million people hit the streets. I mean, why would Obama want to put people in charge that were crucifying Christians in the streets for no reason? Why?
Well, he's not per se wanted to crucify Christians, but he is heartedly supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, who will kill Christians, as you just mentioned. And they continue to do that until the military took over Egypt. And now Egypt is being alienated from the United States. The main goal, the final goal, is to have American control, Islamic control over Africa.
That's it. Yep.
That is Africa. The goal, and that is what Dr. Isam al-Haddad was sent by Mr. Khairat al-Shatir from Egypt to the United States to the White House, have the instruction from the White House, go back to Egypt and start to go back to Mr. Malik in Africa to spread the Muslim Brotherhood wing over Africa.
Introducing the first proprietary oxygen-based intestinal cleanser, OxyPowder. Backed by real FDA-approved phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials. People are suffering from all kinds of digestive issues these days. All the toxins from the air, the food, the water, ultimately ends up in the gut or affects the gut. My main focus was to come up with a remedy for this, something that's safe and effective that anyone can take on a regular basis to keep their intestinal lining clean. My recommendation is to clean your intestines at least 2 to 3 times a week to prevent the toxic buildup from going into your bloodstream. Take your health into your own hands and start cleansing your body today with OxyPowder. Secure your OxyPowder today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.